when she had bought her ticket, but then they
Right.
were like, oh no, we need to move June 13th, he's not gonna be here June 6th. I'm like, okay, he's gonna be here June 13th, because people are coming
Yeah.
to support me, and I.
ADA favorite.
Oh,
To
oh,
like her type out of there,
okay,
but it's moving fast.
so oh, wow,
Trying to get it done.
so we're gonna go, are you part of the? Be part of the executive session, right?
If I can.
Into the.
Yeah.
Does Henry know?
So
Mike's not. All right, good morning, everybody. Let us stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I will note for the record that all board members are present. Good morning. Thank you for being here and welcome to everyone. We'll dive right into our agenda. At administrative item number 1, we're going to break into 2 parts in 2 separate motions. I move to approve the minutes from the January 23rd, 2024 board meeting with the notation that I was present, Mr. McCafferty was present, and Ms. Chappelle was present.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it. And I move to approve the minutes of the February 20th, 2024 board meeting with the note that I was present, Mr. McCafferty was present, and Ms. Sticken was present.
And I'll second that, and I'm abstaining from
Okay,
that vote.
thank you. Second by Ms. Chappelle, and we note for the record that she's abstaining. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. And we have a walk-on item, Directive 2024-04, which is in our board packet. In summary, Directive 2024-04 provides instructions on how to complete and submit the 2023 annual expense report. And the report is due May 10th, 2024. And this is in standard practice, nothing major to.
Correct. This is something that we do on a regular basis with the Secretary of State providing it, and then so it kind of makes sense. Ultimately, what that does is gets us down to the per precinct cost. So when a charter community comes forward and they conduct an election, we have to tell them how much is it approximately per precinct. It's based off of this report, so it helps us get to that.
Okay, great. I move to acknowledge Directive 2024-04, 2023 annual expense report.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. And on the candidate and petitioning services, I'll move to acknowledge the following. First, I move to acknowledge the removal from elected office, John Gretsch, Middleburg Heights City Council, member of Council Ward 4. The resignation from elected office, Stephen L. Simborski, Village of Gates Mills Treasurer, and to acknowledge the appointment to elected office of Dixon W. Morgan, Village of Gates Mills Treasurer, and John Zakel Jr., Middleburg Heights City Council, member of Council Ward 4.
Second.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye? Aye, the ayes have it. And I move to acknowledge the following candidate withdrawal from the March 19, 2024 presidential primary election. Republican County Central Committee, Michael Stiergiao, Parma 6D.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, the ayes have it. Thank you. And on to registration, and the chair recognizes Mr. Hassani Wheat, Manager, Registration Department. Good morning, Mr. Wheat.
Good morning, Sonny Lee, Registration Manager.
Yes, sir, the floor is yours.
You should have before you a Form 257 challenge of the right to vote and correction of registration lists that was submitted by Mr. Stephen J. Scullin and received by the Board of Elections on February 12, 2024. Mr. Scullin, a registered voter in Cuyahoga County, is challenging the voter residency of Mr. Patrick B. Scullin. Mr. Stephen J. Scullin noted in his challenge that Patrick B. Scullin does not reside at 1149 Webb Road in Lakewood, Ohio, and that he did not give Patrick B. Scullin permission to use his address. Mr. Stephen J. Scullin also noted in his challenge that Patrick B. Scullin's address is 2100 Lakeside Avenue in Cleveland, Ohio, which is also known as the Lutheran Men's Shelter. The voter registration database shows that Patrick B. Scullin's most recent registration has him registered at the 1149 Webb Road address since January 18, 2024 via online voter registration transaction. Stephen J. Scullin indicated in his challenge that Patrick B. Scullin is a criminal and a threat to his family.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Weed. Any questions for Mr. Weed at this time from the board before we call up?
And just would
Yes.
want to confirm, but his voter registration has been canceled though, as of this moment in time, correct? Patrick, or
no.
no, it has
No,
not. Oh, I thought it was.
No, his registration right now is in an active status.
Oh,
and
inactive.
has a muscular provisional on it.
Oh, okay, all right. We will be deciding whether it gets canceled. Okay, this one I misheard that. Okay.
Good clarification.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Weed. The chair will recognize Mr. Stephen Scullin. As Mr. Stephen Scullin, would you please come to the podium, sir? Mr. Scullin, good morning. If you would be so kind as to be sworn in by a court reporter.
Mr. Scullin, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Mr. Scullin, could you state for the record your name and your residence?
Stephen J. Scullin, 1149 White Road, Lakewood, Ohio.
Okay.
4107.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. The floor is yours. Do you have an opening statement that you would want to make? And after you make your statement, then the board will ask you questions.
Just want to say that I did not give Patrick Scullin permission or consent to use my address. When I received a mailer from the Board of Elections in his name at my house, I was rather surprised. I do not have any communication with him. He did not ask to use my address. I have actually specifically told him in the past, do not use my address. And he defied my request. He is not a resident of my home. I have the deed to my property with me. I can prove that he is not on deed. He did not have my permission to utilize my address. Now, my concern is, he is a criminal. He is a career criminal. You have access to all his records, probably more so than I do. It's not a question of if, it's a matter of when he will commit his next crime. It is me and my family and my pets that will be raided and flash bombed at 4 a.m. in search of him. That is my primary concern, the safety and well-being of myself, my family, and my home.
Thank you, sir. Questions from the board?
Yeah, Mr. Scullin, just a couple questions. He doesn't live there. He
No,
has
he
no
does not.
belongings there. He has no, he's never resided there.
Not since this was
Yeah,
my
I think-
parents' home.
Well, that
So
was my
at one
question.
time, when he was a child, yes, he did reside
Okay.
there. That was many
Right.
years, many decades ago,
It was a family homestead at one time,
at
but
one time, correct.
So I have
I
one,
purchased a home from my mother in 2015, and I am the only person entitled.
I have one key question. His registration notes that he registered on January 18th, 2024. He has not spent the night or been in that home since that date of the
No, sir.
registration. Okay, thank you.
and he wasn't residing there at that
Right.
time.
No.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Scullin from the board?
I have a question for council, none for
Okay,
Mr.
yeah.
Scullin.
Please, Mr. Scullin.
So, just want to make sure we know what, the rules are and the case law, I think the senior legal opinion. You can't have an intent to return to a residence if it, in the first instance, is not your settled abode or a place where you have permission to be and to reside. Is that a fair
That
statement?
would be my understanding, right? There has to be some factual basis for that intent. You can't just, I intend to live in Windsor Castle. It doesn't.
Exactly, exactly. I just wanted to check. That would be my interpretation of the law as well, but I wanted to make sure that, but to me, we don't even have to get to the question of intent
That's
to
right.
return.
That's right.
Because
He can't
doesn't have,
return to where he's never been.
never been a fixed place of habitation for him.
Right, there's
Okay.
no, yeah, exactly.
And actually, one of the criteria, I think, is, if you determine that your temporary housing is transitional or in a shelter or something, we even have that fact pattern here to support that the 1140, it's 1149
Web Road.
Web Road is not his fixed place of habitation.
Correct.
Yeah,
Right,
okay.
that'd be my understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scullin, any other comments from you at this time?
Not understand.
Okay, you may be seated. Thank you, sir. The chair will call upon Patrick Scullin, if Patrick Scullin or if an attorney representing him is present, you may approach the board. Mr. Patrick Scullin does not appear to be in person or nor online, nor is there legal counsel representing him. All right, thank you. Mr. Musson, is there anything else that you want to say to the board on this matter?
No, thank you. I think the board covered it.
Okay, great. All right, board, we have a
Yeah.
case before us.
I would, given the testimony and the documentation we've received, the testimony we've heard, I would move that we cancel the registration of Patrick Scullin, and make permanent any inactivity of his voter registration at the Web Road address, because it's clear from the testimony and the law that it is not his fixed place of habitation or settled abode, and he couldn't possibly have an intent to return to a place where he has no right to be there in the first instance. So I would move that we cancel his registration.
Thank you, Ms. Chappelle. That motion is ordered.
I'll second her motion.
Ms. Stickens
because-
seconds.
And I think we have a record here. You heard from the homeowner, all the things, my colleague just said. And I think, given the analysis provided by our counsel, I think we've made a clear record here. So I support the motion.
Thank you. I'm in support. Support. Okay, all good. The motion is properly before us. We're ready to vote. All in favor? Aye. Yes, Ms.
Yeah, okay.
Ms. Stickens seconded. The motion is properly moved and seconded. It's before us. All in favor of supporting the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, and it is so ordered. Thank you so much. On to new business, the March 19, 2024 presidential primary election update. Mr. Tony Gallagher, good morning.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Well, we're coming down the home stretch here. Just wanted to give you a little bit of an update of some of where we're at. As you know, the March 19th primary election is a countywide election. We have 967 precincts and 290 polling locations for this election. There will be 406 candidates on the ballot, as well as 26 issues, which include the countywide issue and 5 school levies. We don't know, but we're guessing somewhere possibly between a 30 and 40% voter turnout on election day. The election officials department will have their last poll worker training this Saturday. We will have over 4 workers per average on each precinct scheduled to work in this election, including precinct election officials, polling location managers, and deputies. They have also hired 91 standby workers to be in place for any no-shows, which will be plenty. We're actually, in this election, we're having 60 attorneys who will be working at the polls, and they'll be able to earn add credits to their continuing education. And I'm glad to report we're actually having 117 Cuyahoga County workers participating in the county poll worker program, which is an increase of 30% from November.
That's
So,
nice. That's very nice.
As far as early person voting, we've had 5,941 voters come down here to the board. It's a little bit ahead of the 2020 primary.
What was that number again? I'm sorry.
5,941. Which is a little bit ahead of the 2020 presidential primary, in which we had 11,000 total from in-person voters, but it's about a third, less than a third of where we were in November, where we had over 21,000 total. And it's probably a combination of increased voter participation in early in-person voting, but then kind of the top of the ticket doesn't have as much punch as might have been. So, yeah. So early in-person voting hours for today will be until 7:30 p.m. On Saturday, it'll be 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. And early in-person voting ends on Sunday. It'll be from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. We have parking in the back lot, and we also have the availability of the full lot at Campus International for overflow voting. We have signage, and we have the electric sign, the highway signs located in this parking lot as well as over at Campus International.
Well, can I ask you a quick question for you?
Sure.
Do we have the canvas and canopy and all that for bad weather? I don't know what the forecast is for the on
Yeah.
Tuesday, but we have we'll have the same setup as we've always had.
For this election, we don't have the.
Oh, we don't?
the canopy, yeah,
Okay,
but,
we just don't assume that we're gonna need it, or?
yeah,
Yeah, based on the turnout that we have, usually it's a general election in which we have those canopies,
Okay,
not so much in a primary. We, hopefully I say this and it happens, but we haven't even come close to that line getting outside the door.
all right.
Maybe it will now, but so we can get a lot of people inside.
Yeah, we just voted. It's really so easy to vote downstairs,
It's very nice,
so
yeah.
just voted this morning, so it was great, so great setup.
yeah, it's a great,
Steve Ray's got a
Fire
course of
staff,
science.
yeah.
It was really,
That's good.
So early in-person voting will end on Sunday, and there's no voting here on Monday. On election day, voters should go to their polling location to vote.
yeah,
This message will be repeated and rolled out. Mike West will be sending a press release to the media. Tony will be covering it in his press conference on Monday, as well as in social media, we'll be rolling it out that way. So the main message is voters on election day, go to your polling location. If you're not sure where your polling location is, you can call. You can either go on our website, www.443vote.us, or you can call here at the Board of Elections, 216-443-VOTE. And we have an automated system which you can get that information, or you can speak with an operator you call on election day.
so there's no curbside, no voting at all.
On election day, if somebody has an address, if they move, there is
An issue.
there is a small way where people can come down. Unfortunately, many people who don't qualify in that scenario come down here, and then we have to send them away. So really the best message is, you know, you can vote, even if you moved or whatever the circumstance, you can always vote in your polling location,
And
which is
from-
in your neighborhood.
And curbside should be at the regular polling
Yeah,
location,
that would
should not be
right.
down here.
Right,
Okay.
right.
Sure.
Um,
That's what I'm sure.
So on election day, as you know, voting hours will be 6:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. And voters are reminded to bring photo ID. Could be driver's license, state ID, passport card, or U.S. military ID, Ohio National Guard ID, or U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. As far as our absentee vote by mail, to date, they have processed over 62,000 vote by mail applications and have had 42,000 returned. And again, a little bit about a third behind. Actually, 4 years ago, it was further ahead in a more contested election, about 30% behind. But voters can check the status of their vote by mail ballot by going on our website and calling here at the board as well. So election support department, Berman's, our moving company and storage company, is on schedule. They'll be making their deliveries today and final deliveries on Monday. Electronic poll books will be updated after Sunday's close of early in-person voting, and those will be delivered on Monday. Boards of Elections is having about 8 polling location changes, which are in about 5 municipalities. Those voters were first notified in December and January of those changes. In addition, everybody gets mailed our voter information guide, which clearly indicates where every voter should go to vote. And those voters actually have a little extra message that says, hey, you have a new polling location. So in addition to that, Mike, our outreach department worked with local mayors to help get that information out. And so we had, and as well as working with news outlets to get that information out. So the impacted municipalities are Maple Heights, Mayfield Heights, North Randall, North Royalton, and Walton Hills. So all in all, I think we're in a good position at this point for Tuesday's election. Any questions?
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Prelati.
Sure. Before I get into what I wanted to talk about, I just want to bring out 2 separate points. One is yesterday, a unfortunately, some unknown online entity published that allegedly Board of Elections website was hacked and
Oh, no.
information, and it's not true. And again, it was Cyber Express, we never heard of it or what it is. So what they were saying is that look at the sensitive information that we were able to get from the website, which is the publicly available, that you can self-serve or through a records request, get such as the voter registration information, name, address of voters, their voter history, that information. It's all publicly available, not only on our website, but the same information at the Secretary of State's website. So we were ready to respond to any inquiries, and luckily nothing came. And I think hopefully people realize that what is this bogus entity? But we did communicate with the Secretary of State's office, all the cybersecurity things that we have here for monitoring, as well as the state. Everything works, you see it. And this is one of those misinformation, scare tactic type things that is unfortunate. But that's today's environment that we live in.
So are we not having any social media response to that? Are we gonna have some response? I mean, I wouldn't just wait for somebody to complain and say, hey, what's wrong with you guys? Are we doing something in the manner of, or is the Secretary of State? That seems to me, if that's on social media, we should have a social media response or some, I mean, it just.
So it wasn't.
Was it on social media?
I don't think so. What we can do
Oh,
is
okay.
the statement that we have prepared, Mike can put that into a press release and proactively
Yeah.
send it to our media contacts.
Okay.
Clean.com, 358-19.
Yeah, let's do
And that-
something, I would
I
think.
would hesitate to put it out there because I really don't want to give it any more credence or legs than it deserves, you know, because
that's a good point.
it didn't get put out through a social media contact. It's some nefarious website that small percentage of people go to, and it's not a mainstream. Mr. Bellotti, if you could hold, Mr. West, is there anything that you want to add to this conversation?
I'm just on that, but, it's kind of a tough spot because even at the bottom of the story, it says it's not an incredible news story.
Oh, okay.
I think it was
Okay.
clickbait.
Yes.
Okay,
Contained within the hacker kind of community.
okay, all right, that's
Um,
different,
so-
okay.
If we bring it up, then we have to explain it to everybody.
No, we don't want to give it any
Get the
more,
idea. So I think it's died a quiet death.
okay, that's
Just
good.
by chance, I actually found it was posted.
Oh,
So,
all right,
but we're ready. Don't need.
All right.
Ready to go.
all right.
Sure to come on.
Thank you.
Okay, I-
Thank you,
that's
Mr.
fine, yeah,
West.
that's
You
helpful,
satisfied?
yeah,
So-
that's fine, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Mr. Bellotti?
And then the other thing I just wanted to make sure everybody is aware of this. So like, for example, earlier in the meeting, there was a withdrawal of a candidate. And in a presidential primary, we hear a lot of times that candidates are suspending their candidacy, which is not a withdrawal. Suspension means that they're still
Yeah.
an active live candidate. And so when people go to the polls or they've been getting their ballots, those names will appear for any presidential candidate on either side. Whether they've suspended or not, because they have not withdrawn. And actually, if someone were to vote for that individual, Ryan and his team will tabulate and we will report those results on election night.
Right.
Whereas, for example, this individual who withdrew, if there's any votes based on the time when they withdrew, we will suppress those results. So I just want everyone to kind of realize there is a little bit of a difference. Suspending is what comes out in presidential years, and we don't hear about suspending really campaigns in other years. Okay, so then some election administration enhancements that we're doing for this upcoming election. So this is something where just in general, the culture of our agency is that we take our lessons learned after every election seriously. We make improvements to there, but then we proactively develop. How can we do things better and prepare for upcoming elections for the next election? And so that's the case for this March's election. And I just want to hit on 6 items that we're doing that are either new or in response to challenges that we had from previous elections. And so I'll start off with election night tabulation. So we know in November, that took quite a while to tabulate those results, probably double the amount of time than we expected. But that was because that was the first countywide election, a multiple page ballot. in which now we are saving images of the ballots in addition to the results. So that took a long, long time. And, we want to get the results out faster. We don't want to be here this long, and we want to get that done.
Right.
So Brian and his team worked with Clear Ballot to come up with a solution to this. And what that is that we are going to be able to upload just the numeric results and not the image at the same time. But we're able to circle back later, and later being the next day or the day after, because we don't have to report images to the Secretary of State's office, and we will be able to upload those images and merge the information. So how that impacts reporting times is when we were uploading those sticks in November, it takes about 2.5 minutes to upload one memory stick with results and images. When you just upload results alone, 10 seconds. So basically, you can do like 15 sticks for every one that we were doing before, and we'll get those results into the system, and that's what you will see, all those election results. Now, and there's a catch though. There's always a catch with Cuyahoga. We have one contest, which is the House District 20, Ohio State Rep District 20 on the Democratic side, which there is not a named candidate on the ballot. So we have 2 write-ins going head to head.
Wow.
So in that contest, or for that area, we will have to upload the images and the results. So what Brian and team have done is they have, when they burn those sticks and that media to put into the scanners, they identified those particular sticks with a different identification. So when the sticks come back on election night, what we'll be able to do is with the coding that we have, they can kind of put those to the side and continue just to upload the results only sticks and keep that going. There's the ability then to take the system and toggle between a results only to a results plus image only. And so those sticks will be the sticks that we will upload at the end of the night, unless, for example, a lot of those sticks come in early, we don't have the other sticks, then Brian can toggle to results and images, do that, and then all of a sudden we get an influx of sticks that we don't need the images, he can then stop, toggle back, do results only, and then come back and forth. We don't want to toggle too much back and forth. I mean, you can as much as you want, but we want to keep things moving. So because it's a House district, it's a little bit larger. So it's 148 precincts across 52 polling locations, and there's 105 memory sticks, 105 scanners that will be uploading that. So that will put impact our reporting time, but there's a reason for it. So this plan has been, we tested the processes in the plan. Clear Ballot tested the process in the plan, and then we jointly with Clear Ballot tested the process in the plan, and it's been successful. In addition, we purchased 2 higher speed, higher capacity servers at the end of last year, and those are in place, and that also helps with this whole ability to do this. So we should not be uploading results till 4 o'clock in the morning. And it won't be before midnight, but hopefully it'll be at a reasonable time around 1 o'clock or so. But again, it all depends on when the materials come back.
Michelle?
Yeah, just so, this is great. 2 questions.
Mhm.
Is the Secretary of State on board with us not releasing the images until the next day?
They told us that we do not have, they specifically told us in the meeting with them, yeah, not a
Okay.
problem. And
Because I thought that was the issue, somehow that the language required the release of the image and results at the same time.
no, we have to have the images,
Okay,
but we don't have to have those images on election. We don't have to have them in our system election night. We just need to get there.
and possess them and retain them. Okay.
Exactly.
That's great.
And so as long as we have those images by certification, 3 weeks later, which we will,
Good.
we'll be in a good place.
That's what I signed off on that, great. Then my second question simply is, thanks to Clear Ballot, did I assume that fix and that collaboration was at no charge to us?
That is correct.
Okay.
Right?
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, as far as, yes, it was.
Wait, what was that? Was that a unqualified yes?
Yeah, no, it's a yes. They, They understood the issue. In fact, we had a joint phone call, Secretary of State, Clear Belt and us. So everyone understood exactly what was going on, because the state wants the results. We want to give the state the results as fast as we can, but guess what? So they fully understand what the issue is, and they understand that, of course, when you are literally, because 2-page ballot, 4 sides, it's 1 million. So uploading 1 million images or getting that versus, they say, a smaller county that has 10,000 images, it's night and day. So they get it. So
So
that's
thanks to
good.
the vendor for that cooperation, and thanks to the Secretary of State, good collaboration for a good result.
So that was, so where we have good confidence, and one of the key members of that testing team from Clear Ballot will be on site on election night in the tab room. I guess to troubleshoot, but we're not gonna need to, and it's gonna work, and it's being good, but we do have that resource there, as well as someone from Boston is coming in who's a little bit higher up in the organization, who understands also programming and computers and stuff, so they're taking it seriously. So that's good. Another enhancement that we're doing for this election has to do with the vote by mail applications. So we always encourage our Cuyahoga County voters, when you want to vote by mail, when the state isn't sending out applications, come to our website and get it, because then you get an application that has a barcode. We prefer that barcode because when the person completes their application, sends it in, we then can scan that barcode, and that brings up, okay, this is Tony Perlotti. It's his record in the system, and then they're reviewing, and this processes things faster versus having to manually do searches and all that. So we were using a hand scanner to scan that barcode, and one employee scanning those, flipping through, scanning those barcodes could do about 300 applications per hour. Well, the ballot staff working with the RIT staff, they developed a program that we were able to put on a high-speed scanner, in which now we can take a stack of our applications with barcodes, put them through the scanner, and that now allows us to do 650 to 700 applications per hour. Now, whether you hand scan it or you put it through a scanner, ultimately a report is produced. That staff then proof that report of what was scanned versus the actual application, so nothing is missed. So we're getting double the output using this technology, which is great, which really will come into play come November.
Who's doing the coding solutions? Who's coming up with these coding solutions?
So it's Robin with, and unfortunately, Austin, who is the employee who left recently. They work together to come up, and then also Mary Hannah in our IT department to come up with this. Now, even though Austin's not here, there's a transfer of knowledge, and everyone knows, so Robin and his team can continue on to make sure if we have to troubleshoot something, but it's been a game changer, which is great for output, and then also the staffing. So now you get people proofing faster and you need less resources, so that's good. What we'll have to probably do though is, because of the size of this election, we actually took 2 of our vote by mail scanners. We have 12. Brian didn't need 12 for this particular March election. Probably will need all 12 ready for November, so we'll probably have to go out and purchase a couple of scanners, but we won't have them. These ones were ones through Clear Ballot. We can get the same model, but we can buy that off the shelf because it's not certified equipment for what we do. Another big bonus of this scanning is when they scan it, it captures an image of the application, which we didn't have before. So what happens is when somebody calls us and says, hey, you sent me an initials only ballot, but I checked Republican. We can now, instead of flipping through everything to find it, we go to the image. We go, hey, actually, we have a picture of your thing right here, and you did do that. You want us to send you out, you want to send us a new application. So it allows us to troubleshoot really fast with the phone. And that's a nice bonus that comes out of that. So that's a second thing that we're going to toot our horn about a little bit. Third thing is electronic poll books. This is the first election, countywide election, that we'll be using our new electronic poll books. We got them last year at the end of the year. We did use them for the December East Cleveland recall election. It was smaller, worked well, but we had everything checked in. And this will be a full deployment of these electronic poll books for this election. And just sometimes a visual is will say more than what I can try to explain. But this is our previous electronic poll book. And this is the new electronic poll book. It's the exact same application that's on there, but what happens now, it's scaled to the size of this screen. So obviously a lot bigger. So the font, the words are bigger. When a voter signs, they have a bigger space to sign. So it's just a lot easier for the poll worker, easier for the voter. And also, because it's new, it has the latest processors inside here and the latest camera. So when you show your driver's license on this old one, you had to move around and find that sweet spot for it to read. There is no sweet spot. Everything is a sweet spot. So captions it like that. And the same thing when the poll worker issues the ballot, the barcode on the stub to ensure that we're giving the correct ballot for where you live, that reads a lot more or quickly. So what that means is ultimately in a busy day, you're checking people in faster because the processor works and the camera works better, and it's just bigger for people to see what's going on. So we're excited about that, and that's gone through all its logic and accuracy testing, and so that'll be a success. We don't have worries about those books. Another thing that we did new for this election, and Connor, I don't know if you want to help me out here. We create community outreach, created a few. I think it's 3. We create little short videos that are about a minute or less to help with some of the key things that we do. Track or for voters to track your ballot. How do I find my poll place and not and waiting to insert your ballot one sheet at a time so it doesn't jam. And so there are other links in which we can send them out on social media for people, but on our homepage, when we get there, what we've done is, so this is our homepage, we have a box down here that we put up, election how-to videos. So just by clicking that, it'll just bring a voter to the page that has these videos. So we currently have 5 up. Proper way to cast your ballot, how to track your ballot, and how to find your poll location are videos that community outreach created that are again a minute or shorter. How to use your ADA is actually a clear ballot created document. It's a little bit longer. It gives a little bit more detail for those folks who have to do that. And this is a former video we had that speaks to House Bill 458 changes from last year. Again, we had like 40% turnout last year in that, so there's still 60% of the electorate who hasn't voted. And even though we say it all the time, it's just a quick way for them to do that. So real quick, I just have Connor play this video on how to properly cast your ballot, and this will help with ballot jams. Yeah. Oh, we gotta change our, let's pause and get the speaker. When you get that squared away, why this is key is with the multi-page ballot. You might have to mute this. Got you working today, Connor.
Hey, while he's working on that,
Yeah.
quick question. Are we doing anything, a lot of the questions we get after the election, or at least I get, or before the vote, during the vote by mail period is, where's my ballot? How my ballot's not here? I voted, and if we have the video about how to track your ballot, which is great. Some people don't use that. And there were a few instances where it said, or that we had the ballot, but we didn't have it, or, I mean, there's just issues around that. Are we doing anything to enhance, a lot of this is US Post Office, I know.
Yeah.
But,
So if it's. If we send it out. And if they didn't get it from the post office, if they let us know that, then we have, in our last, ballot printing contract, we required our vendor to have software in place where they could help us research and easily see what's going on. And we used that a lot in November, where we would actually see it left Orange Avenue on this date, it got to the Lyndhurst branch on this date, and according to this, the post office brought it to your house on this date. So we're able to get into that type of information.
so I guess my question, I don't want to
Yeah.
take away from.
Yeah.
If we could figure out how to put that software on our website, so people could do it themselves. And it could be self-service, because I don't know about anybody else, but I get these calls all the time. How come I'm on my ballot? Where is it? I looked on there, it's not showing, you know,
I know, I think,
unless it's proprietary,
yeah, I
I
don't know.
can't
if we
do it.
So I think,
Just take a look at it. I know that's gonna be an issue. It's gonna be an issue in November for
well,
sure.
and it may just be, guess what, we need to hire more temporary employees and just staff up that call center just for that issue, because it might be proprietary, but we'll take a look.
Okay, thanks. Sorry to digress. on
No,
that.
it's okay, but we do, so one of these videos, once they do get it working, is a track my ballot.
Yeah.
For them, where it's really simple and it shows with your name and your birth date. Here you go, you get your individual information.
Yeah, it's just maybe not giving enough information because when they are not able to figure out why they don't have their ballot, then we get the call. If there's something more detailed that says, hey, here are the dates, your ballot went here, you know, was at the post office on this date, so you'll check to see if we have that level. I'm sorry, I can put that
Yeah,
level.
I hear it coming through here, it's just that,
There you go.
there you go. All right, why don't you go ahead and get it to the start. So one thing, we get a lot of calls on election day that, go ahead, can you pause it? Or no, am I screwing that up? We get a lot of phone calls on election day of ballot jams, and they're not ballot jams. If that, because we have a multi-page ballot, and we're one of the only counties in the state that have a multi-page ballot, you have to let the machine do its job. One page, you let it process through, it says thank you, and then it says insert the next page. And then you put your next page. A lot of people, page one, they don't like page two, then the machine's like, hey, and then you pull it out and you gotta, and they're like a jam. No, you just didn't. Wait, we're trying to stress, hold on and do that. So this is something that we're going, on Monday, I'm gonna try to get the media to do something and get this out to folks. Cause it's simple, and the pause is 5 seconds, that's it, it's not like you're standing there. So go ahead, if you can.
Election day tutorial. The proper way to cast your ballot. Depending on what party affiliation you select, there is a chance you may have more than a one-page ballot when voting this election. Once you have filled out your ballot, inserting one page at a time is vital to reduce the chance of ballot jams. Be sure to pause between inserting your ballot by waiting for the screen to thank you for voting and returning to the insert ballot one sheet at a time screen. This pause is essential to successfully casting your ballot.
So
Follow us on social media.
this is really our first attempt of trying to do some of these internal videos like this, because everyone gets tired of listening to me. But they're happy to watch a 1 minute video. If it's too long, then they lose it. So we try to keep it so it's, I think Zachary now.
What, quick question?
Yes.
So we don't have any jams or issues with people trying to scan the ballot without, I mean, with the stub attached to it. Cause that would have been one other thing you could have added, you know, perhaps, you know, make sure that before you scan the stub is removed.
Yeah,
But we don't have that at the big issue.
We really don't, and that's in large part because we position a poll worker at the scanners
To make sure.
to ensure that, look, not looking at what they did, what they voted, but hey, stub, and then actually they collect it and put it in an envelope, so
Great.
that is pretty good. So we're trying to, so short
This is
videos,
great.
social media, more on our website, and make them so it's easy to find and that kind of stuff.
Actually, this was true with the old scanners as well.
It was.
Yeah, this issue is not new with the clear ballot. You had the issue before.
You did, and I think one difference, and it makes a difference, where maybe in the ES and SBS 200, you had to wait 3 seconds, now you gotta wait 5. And sometimes that 2 seconds is enough for somebody to get jumpy.
Well, and it's capturing the image of the
Well,
ballot. So
and
that takes
that's
all-
why it takes that
Right.
extra couple seconds.
It's not just recording how you voted, but it's actually capturing like a PDF equivalent image of the
Yeah,
ballot.
and the voters are trying to get in and out and go to work or whatever they gotta do, so. But I think the video is great, so
And it's
hopefully the media can get 1 or 2 of those out for the election.
Yeah, exactly. And again, and when you have a chance, right on the homepage, and you can see the one on Track My Ballot and the one on where to find your polling location again, which is real simple. Another thing I want to hit on is we're cognizant of how much these ballot bags weigh when we send them out. we put more effort and emphasis on when we send ballot bags out, not as much on when they come back at the end of the night. And so Sean Keita was able to find out some funds at the end of last year. We were able to purchase these burgundy bags that we didn't have before. So on election night, like when ballots go out at the start of the day, every location gets a red bag. And this is where we pack unvoted ballots that go out, we call it the alpha precinct. And then all the other precincts get a gray ballot bag, one per precinct that we put their unvoted ballots. So you're sending them out over in multiple bags. So at the end of the night though, the poll workers, when they're done, they go to all the scanners in the location, they take all the voted ballots and all the voted go in the red. Then in the gray bags is where the unvoted come back. So one, it helps the poll workers, it makes it simpler. Okay, everything voted red, not voted in the gray. And then when they come back to the warehouse, when we're processing those bags, it's easier for Vic to separate them on the dock. It's either for when Brent's doing ballot bag opening to keep the ballots voted, unvoted, and all those things. Well, these red bags can get heavy on a high turnout day. So what we do now is we have this burgundy bag that we're introducing because poll workers like, they like colors, makes it easier.
It does.
Instead of some crazy name we give it. And so so every location still will get their red. And if a location has 3 precincts or more, the alpha will go in this, the second precinct's unvoted ballots will go in this, and then there'll be a gray bag for that 3rd precinct. But at the end of the night, if there's a heavy turnout, they can now distribute voted ballots between red and burgundy. So you're not loading this thing up. So this weighs 60 pounds. You can distribute the load and make it manageable. And again, color coding things makes it easier for the poll workers. And then when we get stuff back, because we have literally thousands of bags coming back, it helps us to do some sorting. So this will be the first election that we're using this. It's been trained on.
The overflow bag.
It's an overflow loaded bag. And if they don't need it, they can return it with unvoted bags, ballots in it too. But it's just something to try to help.
Ooh, are we not gonna get confused about?
We go through everything anyways on
Okay.
election night.
Yeah.
Why our poll workers are excellent. They don't always get it right, so we do that, but it helps us a little bit further along.
Yeah.
We are doing that, and then staying with this whole ballot weight issue is so that's what, so this bag has 61 pounds, that one has 35. So if anybody wants to try to lift them up at the end, you can see the difference in how much these weigh.
Why don't we have bags with wheels on? Would that help at all? It just seems
They
like,
still need to lift them.
Oh, okay. okay,
Somewhere online, you gotta.
okay.
Still have
packing
to
them.
get them in and out.
This isn't easy to pack.
Yeah, and then you'd have to probably have a handle, because then.
Okay, just a question
But no, good question.
from someone who doesn't have to
Breaking
lift
the
it.
wheels off.
Yeah, well, and this statement is just, all right, the average age of our poll worker is 62, and there's a lot of really strong 62-year-olds out
There
there.
we go.
But I know for me, as I get older, and I'm not as strong as I used to
Yeah.
be. And so, lifting 60 pounds is not easy.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to get injured.
No, we don't want anyone to get hurt. So because when we used to have these 60 pounds, you'd have 2 workers each grabbing a handle, trying to drag it,
Yeah.
and we don't want that. So we have that same concept though on the way out, and I'm gonna tell you right now, we've ordered plenty of ballots for this election. So we have, I think, all the ballots we need. But again, being cognizant of weight, the way that we pack them is a little bit different. So what we are doing is for this election, we are sending out these bags like we do. We try to keep this weight around 35 pounds. So in any instance where we get over 35 or close, I mean, if it's 39, okay, whatever, but it gets a little bit more. What election support has done is they've taken those extra ballot packs, and we have those in bins. And so what they have done is collectively, by location, those extra ballot packs, or the ones that aren't packed because of weight, are in these ballot bins. They're all inventory and they're organized. For this election, then, we have 6 zone stations or field zones. Those ballot bins will go to those zones, and they'll have those ballots out in the field at their zone. We've created, Peter is like an Excel genius, created this very extensive spreadsheet in which we will be taking the data that we usually get from the electronic poll book system on ballot issuing, and he can, as frequently as you want, import information into the spreadsheet, which has preloaded with how many ballots are in the bags, how many ballots are in bins, where is everything by precinct, and by every precinct has 3 ballot types, a Democrat, a Republican, and issues only for this type. So he has it all broken down with that. So as we do this, we can monitor through this system, where exactly are we at any moment throughout the day? And then if it looks like, hey, we're running a little bit low at this location in this precinct, we can now reach out, and we have a whole system where we email the zone captain and say, go into the bins and pull this and get your forms, and then we can have teams from the zone station send things right to the poll place. And we can do this all throughout the day. So we are not, where before we were strictly beholden on Midwest Direct. Midwest is still on call, ready to go, but we're trying to control more of our own destiny with what we can do. So we have a lot of these ballots, and we have the ability to get them out. Now, if we don't need to send them out, they'll stay at the zone, they'll come back at the end of the night, which then means we haven't overloaded the weight coming back and all those other things. If we use all the ballots in the bins and everything, then we still have our plan on the first floor to start printing ballots ourselves. We have teams of employees here will be able to deliver those out. And if for some reason there is some city or that is really hot and popping off, we still have Midwest to be able to print their ballots, but we would use them more as the last tier. And that's only if something is really crazy.
What do we have, as I hear you talk about it, and I know we had the ballot shortage issue at just a couple locations, or the timing of that. But we need to make sure we have chain of custody and security around that. So just want to make sure that we are addressing, having the ability to have certainly ballot on demand or being able to print or have extra ballots available, but to make sure that we have the security around, nobody can just grab those, they're locked or somehow. Do we have that in place?
So we hired off-duty law enforcement officers to drive the trucks that we're running U-Haul trucks that put these bins in, just because it's easier to work in.
You don't have to, publicly tell me all of the details around the
But we
security
do.
that we
Yeah.
have, just affirm and
Yes.
confirm that we have extra security around those
We do,
extra ballots. Okay,
we
thank
do.
you.
So, yes, there's a multi-layered approach to security,
Okay,
and there is logs that we know what is
How
in every
many?
bin, where everything is, the
How
numbers,
many?
all of that.
okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, so, every election, we're surprised as to what the hot community is, so we'll see what that is for this one, but again, I think we have ordered over 600,000 ballots for election day, which equates to about 1.1 million sheets of paper
That's
that we have,
a
so,
lot.
yeah, that we have to then store for 22 months.
I have a question on the poll books.
Uh-huh.
Don't we have instances where the voter gets the wrong precinct ballot? That
That shouldn't happen,
shouldn't happen,
no,
shouldn't
because, so.
skip
when-
back scan the ballot back through there, shouldn't it? Does something occur?
Sure, so what happens is once the voter checks in, whether they use their driver's license or state ID and it brings it up automatically, or if they bring their passport and we manually look them up. Once we get their record on the screen, now that book knows, okay, you live in city A and you are in precinct 1B or whatever it is. So that's on there. They know that, it's looking for that. So now, when the poll workers get the ballot from the ballot table, there's a barcode on the
Correct.
first page of the stub. And what's in that barcode is the stub number, the city, ward, and precinct of that ballot, and the ballot type, Republican, Democrat, issues only. In order to complete that transaction, then, the poll worker has to take that barcode and put it and read it. And at that point, if it's correct, you get like a okay to give. If it's a miscorrect, if it's a mismatch, it comes up with a message. So now the poll worker looks and goes, oh, this is the wrong, they can look on the screen and say, you're supposed to have 1A, They gave me a 1B ballot, that 1B ballot goes back, we bring the 1A, they scan the barcode, it matches and we give it. So that is a safeguard
Right.
to allow us to have central check-in, instead of precinct-based check-in, and be able to ensure that we are handing the voter the correct ballot.
And really the wrong precinct, wrong location would be in the provisional process,
Yeah.
which is more of an old school method that
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
utilize the electronic
Yeah.
poll books.
That's
as a
okay,
safety.
that answered that question.
Yeah.
So that's equipped to flag it.
Yes, a standard check-in, right, the error would be poll worker error, more than likely on a provisional
On a provision.
process.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay. That's, unless there's questions for me,
Was there a sixth item? Or was that?
oh, the sixth item was the ballot tracking.
Oh, about,
So,
okay.
so Peters, and we've had meetings with Peter, and the IT department and poll worker. And so we've gone through and he's done conditional formatting, so we could see, okay, well, if we have this many ballots left, the line turns this color and all that, and, he's done just a really nice job with it. And then that's what Peter's assignment on election day. He'll be helping out with some supervision, but come probably around 11 o'clock in the morning, then his role then is to monitor that spreadsheet and monitor the voter survey. So he will be on that all day. And then he'll communicate with Tony and I constantly if it looks like we have to send something. Mhm.
So the rovers, they work out of a zone station?
Yes,
So those are physical locations that?
yes.
Okay,
There are 6 street addresses
okay,
geographically throughout the county. And each zone station has around 45 locations that are assigned to that zone that they're responsible for. And then a rover typically will have about 2 or 3 locations that they kind of just hone in on throughout most of the day.
right.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Yeah, unless there's questions, that's kind of what I wanted to hit on.
Thank you, Director Berlotti. Thank you.
Just a comment if I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
Just great for the enhancements. I mean, and we do the lessons learned, but it's nice to know that we are taking all that information and really coming up with ways to, make things more efficient, giving the results. I'm glad we got the images, valid images and result reporting issue all worked out, but all those enhancements are really good and will benefit the voters. So, it's terrific. Thank you.
And I tell you, we got great staff.
Oh, yeah.
And it's awesome, and this is a good, it's an important election, it's a good election to do it, because it lets us to learn lessons from what we think is correct and have it really ironed out for November.
Yeah, I'm really impressed by the coding solutions too. I'm not a techie or anything like that. My husband used to write code and all that kind of stuff, but where we can come up with those solutions and have that, and implement them, that's all really great. So kudos to the staff.
But AI soon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, stop.
All right. Well, thank you both, and thank you, staff, for getting us prepared for Tuesday. All right, the chair has received one request for public comment. Maria Molinas, if Maria is present, chair recognizes you. Excuse me, 1 second, point of order. We're getting some information. And once this information is disseminated. All right, and then we will have our recording secretaries give us a 5-minute time. Excuse me, 1 second, please. No, wait 1 second. All right, if you would please state and spell your name and address for the record, and then you'll be recognized by the chair. Thank you.
Maria Molinas, MARIA-MELINIS. 8205 Abbey Road, North Royalton, purple 123, 843-440-843-480.
Okay, thank you. You have 5 minutes, ma'am, to address the board.
What's the chain of custody for those bags that you presented? That's what I'd like to know. What you have received in front of you today is a letter, an open letter to General Attorney Yost, Attorney General Yost. With the letter, It's raising serious cybersecurity issues as identified by experts and whistleblowers, as well as certification compliance issues. In relation to electronic election systems, which are being used in this county, I believe this matter requires your immediate and urgent attention. This letter is primarily addressed to Attorney General Yost for investigation, but it is also addressed to those such as yourselves who bear in any capacity the responsibility for administering elections or for enacting the legal framework of elections. The open letter is being circulated among concerned Ohio citizens, and signatures in support of the letter that is being forwarded to Attorney General Yost on a rolling basis. I respectfully request that you carefully review the substantive issues raised in this letter and have a formal response prepared by the April 2024 meeting. I will be tracking your responses or your failure to respond and making all such information publicly available for voters to consider. A failure to respond by the time indicated will be interpreted as an outright rejection of the concerns raised in the attached open letter. In a 2007 report initiated by the Ohio Secretary of State, expert teams unanimously concluded that the studied systems, the majority of which are used in Ohio elections, are crippled by flaws in design and implementation, and that such flaws mandate fundamental and broad re-engineering before the technical protections can approach the goal of guaranteeing trustworthy elections. Experts and whistleblowers allege that the machines can be manipulated without detection. Did you know that the election machine can be programmed with code that eats itself as it executes? If machines are typically supposed to have the source code examined after each minor software update, including ones for a Windows operating system, how would an understaffed agency be able to keep up? I mean, if you don't know what the source code says, you can't verify the results. All of Ohio's currently certified voting systems are only certified by the Election Assistance Commission, the EAC, under outdated 2005 standards. Despite identifying this as a national security issue, the EAC has failed as of January 2024 to certify any machines under any new standards. Shockingly, a FOIA, Freedom of Information Act request showed there was no record of calibrated equipment lists that are necessary to do the certification of election machines. EAC, at the very least, admits to lack of accreditation from 2017 to 2019 due to an administrative error. However, it appears to be a much bigger problem. There is zero proof of the integrity of the vote. One whistleblower attests the mathematical proofs demonstrate that voting system programming and hence election results are not universally verifiable. In other words, cannot be proved that manipulation did or did not occur. The substance of my allegations has been successfully challenged in any forum. We need to go back to paper ballots, hand counting, one-day voting, state ID, same-day results, no drop boxes or mail-in voting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melenis. All right. Is there a request for executive session?
Chairman?
Yes,
I
sorry.
do request a motion to go into executive session to share information and consider the purchase or acquisition of property for the public purposes, since the disclosure of information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal private interest is adverse to the general public interest, and also to discuss pending legal litigation issues.
Okay, thank you, Director Perlotti. I so move the request for executive session.
I'll second that.
Second by Ms. Chappelle. Is this a roll call?
Mhm.
All roll call vote. Ms. Chappelle?
Yes.
Mr. McCafferty?
Yes.
Ms. Sticken?
Yes.
Chairman Curtis? Yes. We are in executive session and we will return. And you're welcome to stay or you may leave if you we'll be in there for a little while, so we'll be back and then we'll reconvene. If you leave before we come back, have a great election and a happy St. Patrick's Day. I even wore a little green for you. All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
You want to record it as thing?
I don't think, we don't, yes,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Right, okay, that was.
Nobody.
Oh,
I wouldn't even.
All right,
Don't need to be on
well, we're back in out of executive session and no other business before us. The chair will entertain a motion to recess.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second, yeah, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, we're in recess. Thank you.
See you
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Good night.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Just, I'm gonna be late Tuesday night. I have to go to my choir rehearsal just so I can sing Palm Sunday.
Okay,
So I'll be there probably 8:39.
oh, we'll be there.
I know. That's why I just said, oh, I can go to a choir rehearsal.
They don't